Welcome to another episode of Badass Banking. And today I've got a special guest. Just so you know, I say they're all special guests, but you really are a special guest. It's Kristi Kelley. Kristi, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Brian. Thank you so much for the invite. I'm super excited to do this, and congrats. This is a very cool podcast. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Now we're on Spotify, so you can just listen to it. It's pretty dangerous to watch YouTube in a car.
Yeah.
And although I don't think anyone's driving anymore, but it's hard to say. So tell me a little bit about what you're doing these days.
Oh, gosh. So lots of different things. Little background on me. I've been in kind of the Fintech world for about 8 years, started with this little company called Malazai, some really great founders there. And we were fortunate enough to land really well with Finastra. Many of your audience may know Finastra, and kind of doing different things with them. But right now I'm focused on partner marketing here in the Americas. A lot of great fintech, a lot of great companies in Latin America, Canada, and here in the US as well. So working with them, working with consultants and all the great associations and community banking land. So that's keeping me busy. Also do a lot of mentoring on the side. In particular, love to work with new college grads and frankly women that are kind of hitting their second stride in the next chapter in their life. I do a little bit of career coaching on the side as well.
Oh, that's excellent. I saw something about that on your LinkedIn profile. I'll have to do a little more homework on that. I think that's a big deal. My daughter just started off in the work world, so maybe I can point her your way for a little mentoring. Dad does not mentor very well to his daughter, apparently.
No, do it. I've actually got quite a few of my old colleagues and interns that I love to just, love to see their success. So
that's great. Yep, that's great. So listen, originally we were going to call this episode Fintech and Fast Boats.
That's right.
Just I pause between fast and boats. So let's talk a little, because I know some of the secrets here, but let's talk a little about how COVID has personally impacted you and your family business. And if you could talk about the family business too, that'd be great.
Yeah, appreciate the plug too. It's interesting. I know we've kind of connected on Twitter about that. So we're a family-run business. About 25 years we've been in the boating business. I'm actually based here in Austin, Texas, kind of the hub of fintech as well, but we like to call ourselves the River City, live capital of the live music capital of the world. So you name it, Austin's got it all. But boating is a real special place for me. In fact, my husband owns the business with a couple partners, and we sell kind of the wakeboard boats and the surf boats, and I know some of the brands that you know about. But it was interesting. So what's
the name of the boat business?
Ski Dock, the Ski Dock, based in Austin. Ski Dock, and we're opening a new location in Houston, so not all that bad. I've got to say, I don't know if I can say this out loud. I know you're recording this, but the boating business COVID's been pretty good for us. I don't know about where you are, but if I think about March timeframe when everything was kind of hitting the fan, right? What really happened was we were just starting to ramp up to kind of the summer season, right? In Austin, gosh, it's probably about 8 months. We have a really kind of a long tail boating season, and we were coming off the winter months and just about ready to ramp up to kind of those spring summer months. So COVID hit, bam, what's going to happen? Everybody was in panic, just like all of the industries in the rest of the world. So we sat on it for a little while, and what really happened in reality, it was like this classic supply and demand issue, right? That story, the tale of two cities. Supply chain started shutting down, right? You get a lot of parts from overseas. So there was a delay in parts, and we weren't quite sure if new boat sales would pick up. But you know what? Everything started shutting down. Events started shutting down. Vacations were canceled. So what did everybody want to do? They wanted to get outside. So We saw, this increase in boat sales, and the problem was at the same time the manufacturers were shutting down their plants. So again, the supply and demand issue. But frankly, for us, boat sales were great. We modified a little bit just due to this kind of the state mandates. We operated by appointment only, so the showroom was kind of technically closed. Unless you had an appointment, you couldn't just take walk-in business. Of course, masks are still a thing here in Texas. Although I think we have some, looser restrictions for sure. But really, the goal from a business standpoint, the goal was to keep all of our employees, right? Not to furlough anybody, not to reduce salaries, and we were successful. But right around that March timeframe, when PPP came around, the first thing we did was contact our local community bank. It was already a long-term relationship, and I know I've tweeted about this, but my gosh, I'm a huge fan of community banks and financial institutions and credit unions. They do so much for our community, and because of this long-term relationship, we were able to get that loan. We applied for it and got it funded within 7 to 10 days. And because we met all of the requirements, the loan is forgiven. So everything is good. Everything is good in the boating world. I don't know if what your experience is where you are.
Yeah, I'm a boater too. I'm a saltwater boater,
Yeah.
but I'm not a fisherman. So I have a Grady White, which is a pretty neat boat. I know you sell, I think Yamaha and Centurions, right?
Yamaha, Centurion, Chaparral, and Supremes.
Okay. Yeah, I know them all.
Yeah, that's the thing is, the economy didn't really impact. It's a higher caliber kind of boats, higher end boats, so it didn't affect our clientele as much.
Yep. Yeah, and we saw the same thing here. My boat dealer is a Grady White dealer. He sells a North Star, a couple of, or Nautic Star, Southeastern Marine, since we're plugging boat dealers and manufacturers. He had the same thing. The first response was, "Holy crap! What am I going to do? I've got a staff. I've got a bunch of boats on order because it was at the end of boat show season."
That's right.
That's the big thing, right? So boat show season ends, supply and demand kicks in, and nobody knew what was going to happen from a demand point of view. Demand went through the roof.
Yep.
It's the upmarket boat manufacturers that have done well, the RV manufacturers, the swimming pool people.
It's so funny you say that, because what did we do? We got an RV and we're looking at a pool. So we did all the things too.
I've looked at Airstreams. I had my wife look at our neighbors, but I've had no luck beyond that at this point. I'm going to probably stay on the water instead of a land yacht. I'm going to stick with boating.
Well, what's going to happen is, so the market's starting to tighten up a little bit. One of the indicators is, home loans, right? And we're starting to see things tighten up there, and you're 90 to 120 days delayed on mortgages. So I think the banks are going to start tightening up, and we're going to see a lot of inventory in the next couple of years. Everybody who thought, heck yeah, I'm going to get on the lake, I'm going to RV it up, and that inventory is probably going to cycle back through because they're done with it as things start to normalize, or sadly they won't be able to make the payments. So it's going to be interesting over the next 2 to 3 years to see what happens in the boat world. But I will say, I was trying to make this connection between fintech and boats, and it's like, there's a lot of great fintech startups here in Austin. Hopefully they're all going to be making some money and ready to buy a boat.
Well, fintech and fast boats kind of go together. It's a theme that we're starting here, so we'll work on that a little. So you had a little personal experience with COVID, didn't you?
Oh my gosh, yeah, I've got a college age son, so I'm pretty certain he brought it into the house. I'm not going to give him too hard of a time. It's funny, we had it was the spring break. What do? You've got the kid wants to go off to spring break. He's at university. We let him do it just simply because they were going to do what's it called, primitive camping up in New Mexico. So he and some of his buddies went up there, and that worked fine. But they never went back to school. So it was like the longest spring break in the history. And so we said, okay, you can go back to school a little bit, hang out with some of your buddies. And somehow, I think he brought it back into the house, and I had it, he had it, husband didn't have it. So go figure. But because we're, good citizens, we all quarantined together. So a husband running the boat dealership out of the house, all three of us, I'm working from home, son's taking some online classes. So it was interesting times, and definitely my husband said he doesn't ever want to do that again, but he never got it. For us, it was good. I got through it in a couple weeks. My son took a little bit longer, but we're all things are back to normal here in Austin, and Texas, really, things are loosening up. So it's all good. We have, fortunately, I don't know if we even had anybody positive at the boat dealership. So we're in, yeah.
Knock on wood. Yeah, I had a neighbor who had a basement flood last week, and I went over and help them clean up. I just found out that both of them have COVID. They're in their 70s. So my wife has been tested, and she doesn't know the response yet. Neither of us have symptoms. It's already been, I think today's day 6. Okay. I tried to stay away, but you're in a basement and there's water flowing. The good news is we had lots of fans on, so I'm hoping the air was circulating. They're both in their, one's in their 60s. The wife is in her 60s. The husband's in his 70s. So, and they're strong. They're in good shape. Hopefully, I saw one of them walking out to get the paper today, so hopefully they'll be okay.
Well, and living in Austin, I've got to say, I am lucky, surrounded by a lot of green space. We got a dog. I mean, it was probably the dumbest idea ever, but we ended up getting a dog the week lockdown happened. We didn't know. I was just at a ICBA conference the week before lockdown. I think it was 3,000 people or so before everything hit the fan. And then we thought, hey, we should get a dog. And so this dog has been with me 24/7, since lockdown. And it's been interesting, but getting out to walk the dog, 6-7 times a day has helped. And I just started going back to the gym. I got to say, spin class has been good. I almost shed a tear the first day I went back to the gym. It felt really good to be back out. And we're starting to go to restaurants a little bit. Bars are still closed down, but it's nice to get some sense of normalcy. But Austin's a great place to live for all that. We just have, so much cool energy going on. And of course the lakes. We've taken a couple RV trips too, socially.
Oh, good. Yeah. Well, I mean, you have it, you might as well use it. It doesn't sound like there's any buyer's remorse there, so that's good.
Yeah, not at all.
So let's change gears for a minute. Do you have a favorite? I'm sure you have a favorite fintech. So who is your favorite fintech?
Well, I mean, I've got to say Malazai, of course.
I just had Tom was just on a couple weeks or a week and a half ago.
Was he really? Oh my gosh. No, he didn't pay me. I promise. Fintech is interesting. Maybe I'm getting lazier in my old age, but some of the ththings I really like about fintech, I'm not sure if I have a favorite. I kind of like Splitwise. I know it's not really big, but it's really good. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it splits up if you're going on trips, like girls trips, for example. You can just plug in the amount for a meal or, cab or whatever, and it splits it all up for you. But I think when I'm looking at fintechs, in fact, Finovate was going on last week, and I was watching some of the demos, but anything that reduces friction and self-service. Like I said, maybe I'm just getting older. I love a good mobile wallet, if you know of any. I think I don't know if there's any out there, but this idea of paying for your paying a great point of POS system, for example, paying your restaurant tab. We were at a restaurant last weekend, and we were able to scan our check, and it the app pulled up and just able to boom boom boom, 2 steps and you're done. So anything that reduces friction and secondarily, well, I'm not sure if it was secondarily, but anything that's personalized. I think we're at this stage in technology where my financial institution should know me. So serving up kind of the right content, the right services, all that's personalized to whatever stage you are in life, I think is really important. But yeah, I love a good digital banking platform, and there's a lot of really great ones out there. if I'm thinking about, kind of the future of fintech, I love this concept of personalization, frictionless and really open, giving me that capability of, self-selecting, I think is really important. And there's a lot of, these platforms that are moving to this open, kind of that open banking platform. And I think that's really cool.
Yep, that'll offer a lot more flexibility to the bankers and ultimately the customers, which is good. And you're on the same page as Tom, because that was number one on his list. Anything with personalization, big on my list as well.
Yes.
How do we finally turn this data into something that's actionable? How do we leverage it so we have insights that we can act upon? And with all this COVID stuff that we've seen, the banks and the credit unions really stood tall
Yes.
and are bringing some value to the market. Now, if they could just get their digital act together and leverage that data, it'll be a win-win, I'm sure.
Yeah. And, one thing I will say, I don't want to be so cliche and copy what we're doing at Finastra, but the fact is COVID has brought the future forward, and that's kind of something that we say internally, but it's a fact. And I talk to a lot of, startup fintechs, especially in these emerging markets like Latin America, spoken to a couple in Costa Rica, Peru, Colombia, and they're really this idea, you're starting to see the value system of fintechs come forward, like the true core of a fintech doing so much good. So this idea of using fintech and data for good, right, is really starting to resonate. So solving real kind of global economy problems is one of the silver linings of all of this, I think.
Yep, I think you're right. And I think you've got an exciting market there, not just Canada, but obviously Latin America. There's so much going on in South America and Central America, especially in the payment space. Some new
Yes.
challenger banks opening down there. I know Movin just picked up a couple clients down there. It's going to be very exciting. So this is a great role for you. You speak
Yeah.
Spanish?
No, and I've got to learn the culture as well. One of the things I'm learning is I need to be a little bit more patient. Things don't happen as quickly as we expect, and the impatience of here in the U.S. I've got to chill a little bit. So.
Yep. Well, I've got a lot of friends in Central and South America you can talk to if you need some cultural tidbits.
Yeah, please do. Please connect me. This is such an exciting time for fintech. I mean, in all seriousness, I really do think fintech and I've got to give a plug out to my women in fintech for sure. I think, women-led businesses right now, combine that with fintech. I really think that's kind of what's going to kind of carry us through all of this. Women are super resilient, and we're used to balancing all of this crazy stuff. But really, fintech is, I'm seeing just so much good and social good with technology right now. I think we're going to be fine, right? Fintech, there's been fintech before there was fintech, right? Before fintech was.
Yep.
So it's so exciting, and I can't wait to continue the journey.
Well, I appreciate your enthusiasm, and I certainly appreciate the time you took to be on today. We're going to be on, like I said before, it's going to be on YouTube, Spotify, Google, maybe on the app, in Apple. I don't know yet, but so far this experiment's been a lot of fun. Listen, Kristi, I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brian. And I feel like, do I need to put on some glasses to be a badass or something?
Oh, you already were a badass.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Pleasure having you.